Alright, so I'm going to make a quick video here on how to take this gas tank off of a 2009 Yamaha Roadliner, off of this beautiful bike here. And this will actually be useful for anybody who runs Yamaha Stratoliner or Roadliner any year, as the process is the same. The tank and all the connectors and bolts are all the same. There's a lot of different reasons why you want to take off your gas tank. Those could be what I'm going to do, which is going to be put in a new air filter from K&N, basically just to get myself a little bit more performance from an increased airflow, and to hopefully get to where I don't have to change out the air filter too often, because although the process of taking this tank off is not too bad, it is quite extensive, and I don't like taking my tank off because I don't want to scratch my paint. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. Basically, you're only going to need about a handful of tools. First and foremost is these nice little kiddie chairs. They're actually perfect for sitting right next to your bike. You might look silly in them, but you get right where you need to be. That's my #1 tool. Okay, second is a few tools here that I'm taking a picture of. Obviously, any self-respecting wrencher needs something like this, little multi-tool, my Leatherman. Good for cutting, good for pinching off stuff, whatever you need to do. Alright, so flat blade screwdriver, otherwise known as standard. Basically, this is going to be used for a few different purposes, to pry some little wire connectors, as well as turning off the fuel flow from the gas tank so that you're not dripping fuel when you take the tank off. That's the nice thing about Roadliners and Stratoliners, is that they have those fuel cutoffs, so you don't have to drain the tank before you take it off. Ratcheting wrench here, extender, and then basically just two different sizes of bits here, sockets that is. 10mm. I like to use the 12 points because there's less chance of rounding off a bolt head. That would suck. And then also 12mm. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can. Yeah, well, trust me, it's 12mm. Alright. A nice little joint with wobble. It's going to be really nice for some of the bolts, especially at the top of the tank, that are a little tough to get to. And a screwdriver that supports multiple bits, because you're going to be using quite a few different bits here. You've got some of these here, good old Yamaha, in order to keep people from taking out your fuel and getting to parts of your bike. They have the this bolt here. If you can see, it's not just your everyday bolt. It actually has a little security tab in the middle of it, so you can't just use a regular old Torx bit. You got to use this Torx bit. It's got a little teeny tiny hole in it. I don't know if you can see that. See if my camera will adjust for us here. This little teeny tiny hole here. Anyway, alright, so, and you're going to need a couple of Allen wrenches here. You've got your 5mm Allen wrench, which is going to be for a few bolts on top of your speedometer chrome assembly, right here, and then two up here. And then you've got 4mm. There's a teeny tiny bolt in here, way down here at the top of this lockable side piece. You can see back in there. It's really tough to see. I'll kind of point at it. It's in there, trust me. Problem is a short little Allen wrench is going to be tough. I suggest using your screwdriver that supports multiple bits. And in this little tiny security case, you can get for about $5 or $10 on eBay, they actually have another security Allen bit, and it's 4mm. Don't even need to worry about the fact that it's got that little security tab hole in it. It works perfectly for these bolts. So it's a good little $5–10 investment to have if you own one of these bikes. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is show you how to get to the bolts on the tank. Alright, so our next part, to get started, we're going to go ahead and just take our seat off. Very simple. Key to your bike goes inside your one with a little keyhole here. Turn it counterclockwise and you'll hear a little click. And that loosens up your seat. The seat comes forward a bit, up and away. Put that somewhere safe where it won't get scratched. Alright, and that just gives you access to some of the bolts we're going to need to take off. You've got two here on this tab here, 10 millimeters. Basically just undo these. This is going to make the back of the tank here loose. And then you've got a couple other bolts here that are on this seat bracket that holds on to the actual locking mechanism for your seat bracket lock. You got a bolt here that are going to need to come off. You don't need to take this out. You need to loosen it up so you can get to some of the hoses and things like that as you're working. Mainly what you're looking to get access to here is these. These are your fuel cutoff valves here. These little tiny boots come off. I loosened that one a bit. It actually sits on there a little bit tighter. Inside here is just a little brass fitting with a little screw. You turn that all the way in clockwise and that will shut off the fuel so that you can take the tank off and not have fuel spill everywhere. So we'll take care of that. Alright, so I'll go ahead and show you what we're going to do next. Alright, so next up what we're going to take off is our chrome overlay with our speedometer. It's on an entire assembly. Basically it's just held onto the tank with these three Allen head bolts here. All 5 millimeters. You've got one at the bottom of the tank and then you've got two up here. One near the top of the tank here and then one just the same place on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. Pretty simple. Let's set this here. Not sure if you're going to be able to see. Just one second here. Alright, so I'll show you here. Pretty simple. It's basically 5 millimeter Allen head. Just don't be too rough. You don't want to scratch up your chrome. Take it nice and easy. Get it started. Switch over to the long end so you can get a little bit more spin on it. And then take these bolts off. Put these somewhere safe so you don't forget them. Take off the other two here and then we'll go from there. Okay, just one more quick thing here. When you're taking off this chrome overlay, you'll notice here that when you got these bolts here that you need to take off, it's this one right here. What you'll notice is when you try and get yourself in there, you're going to be bumping up against your handlebars and your risers in order to get any type of spin. So you can either spend 5 or 10 minutes on each bolt, slowly turning it, starting over and starting over, or a little trick that I learned the last time I did this is whichever bolt you want to take off, just turn your handlebars towards the other side of the bike and it basically gives you the full access here. See, I've got tons and tons of room here now. I go ahead and I just turn until the bolt's all the way out. Then when I want to do the other one, I just turn the handlebar entirely the other way. And then, as you can see, I got plenty of room to turn. So there you go, little trick there. Alright, so we got those 3 bolts off. Now we're basically just ready to take this. You see now this is nice and loose. Basically what we've got to do now is just get this out of the way. One thing you want to be noteworthy of though is underneath here, if you lift up carefully, you'll see there's a bunch of different connectors underneath here, basically for the speedometer assembly and everything else, all your gauges. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you get those all undone before you yank on this. You don't pull any of the cables out. One thing you are going to notice is, you're working with chrome and paint, so you're probably going to want to put down some towels along here as you're working with it, so in case you move something around, you're not going to scratch up and scuff your paint or scratch your chrome. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that next. Alright, so I've got some towels laid down here underneath the chrome assembly. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to need to get underneath here. You can just basically take this assembly, slowly pull it down, and you're going to have 3 wires attached underneath here that keep this and all these gauges running, and this connected to the top of the tank. So once you disconnect three connectors here, 1, 2, 3, then this is going to go ahead and lift up and out. Go ahead and put that somewhere safe so it doesn't get scratched up and doesn't get dented, and then we'll go to the next part. Alright, so the next part we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go ahead and these 4 connectors here, 1, 2, 3, 4, need to be removed. Their tabs underneath here need to be taken off the tank because you won't be able to pull the tank up with these attached, because these go underneath the tank down into where the air cleaner and everything is and all the other wiring for the bike. So if I can do this, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this with my hands in the way, but I'm going to try. You're going to need yourself a pair of needle nose pliers. You're going to go ahead and basically just reach underneath here. You're going to pinch those little tiny wings. Just take care not to scratch your paint. Pinch the wings, and as you're doing that, lift up, and that little tab will come right through. Do that for the other 3, and then you'll be able to get to the next part, which is taking off a couple more hoses and some bolts, and then we should be able to get the tank off pretty quick. Alright, so we got those connectors off, and all we have left is the little overflow spigot here for the gas tank. Basically just take this little clamp here, just kind of wiggle it off. Doesn't have to go very far, and then just wiggle off the spigot here, and there you go. We're just about ready to take the tank off once we take care of the bolts. Alright, so now you've got those connectors and the fuel spigot off. What you're going to do next is get your socket wrench here and your extension, wobble, and then the 12mm star socket and two cute kids to watch. And you're basically, what you're going to do, why you need all that, is underneath here, the front of the tank, you've got two 12mm bolts here that, because of the risers and because of the tank and all these cords, you're going to have a real hard time getting to these with just a straight socket. So another little trick you've got here too, just like you did with the bolts for the chrome overlay, turn the handlebars. It's going to give you a little more room to work on each one. Loosen one bolt, take it out, turn the handlebars the other way, and then go ahead and do the other one as well. So then you should be good to go from the top, and then we'll work at the bottom of the tank.